PowerPoint presentation on pioneer Thomas Jefferson by Devion Williams. While Thomas Jefferson did not establish a theory of educational psychology or a specific educational theory in the modern sense, his ideas about public education, democracy, individual rights, and civic virtue were groundbreaking for his time and have shaped educational thought in the United States. His advocacy for a democratic education system, his belief in the power of public schooling, and his vision of a meritocratic society have had a lasting impact on the development of American education. Thomas Jefferson's early life. He was born April 13th, 1743 in Shadwell, Virginia. His father's name was Peter Jefferson. He was a successful landowner and surveyor, and his mother's name was Jane Randolph, and she was from a prominent Virginia family. His education consisted of early education at home, tutored by local clergy and private teachers. He attended William and Mary College from 1760 to 1762 in Williamsburg, where he studied mathematics, philosophy, and law under George Wythe. Thomas Jefferson developed a lifelong interest in the works of European Enlightenment thinkers such as John Locke, Francis Bacon, and Isaac Newton. His inheritance was after his father's death in 1757. Jefferson inherited the family estate Monticello and a large number of enslaved people. In 1767, after completing his legal studies, Jefferson was admitted to the Virginia bar and began practicing law. And he also gained a reputation as a lawyer and member of the Virginia House of Burgesses in 1669 to 1774. His early influence and beliefs. Jefferson was deeply influenced by the Enlightenment, especially ideals of liberty, reason, and progress, shaping his views on government and society. Jefferson's early political career was shaped by his commitment to defending colonial rights against British tyranny, and he was a strong advocate for religious freedom and self-governance. His early professional life. Thomas Jefferson, after graduating from the College of William and Mary in 1762, Jefferson began studying law under the mentorship of George Wythe, a prominent Virginia lawyer. In 1767, Jefferson was admitted to the Virginia bar and started practicing law in Williamsburg. His legal work primarily focused on land disputes, but he also gained a reputation as an advocate for individual rights and liberty. His personal life. In 1772, at the age of 29, Jefferson married Martha Wallace Skelton, a widow with a young daughter. Martha came from a wealthy and prominent Virginia family. They had 6 children together, though only 2 survived to adulthood. They are Martha Jefferson Randolph and Mary Jefferson Epps. Martha Jefferson was an important influence on Jefferson's life, but she passed away in 1782, leaving Jefferson deeply affected and never remarried. In 1770, Jefferson began the construction of his iconic estate Monticello in Albemarle County, Virginia. He personally designed the home, blending classical architectural styles with his interest in science and natural philosophy. Monticello became the center of Jefferson's personal and political life, where he lived, worked, and hosted many prominent figures. Jefferson's relationship with slavery was complex. Despite his philosophical commitment to liberty and equality, he owned numerous enslaved individuals throughout his life, including at Monticello. He struggled with the moral contradictions of slavery, but never took significant actions to abolish it. Thomas and Jefferson, while a key figure in American history, was not an education psychologist. His contributions was primarily in areas related to politics, governance, philosophy, and education, but not in the field of psychology as we understand it today. However, Jefferson's views on education, his ideas about learning, teaching, and the role of education in shaping society were significant and influential. Jefferson was deeply committed to education and played a pivotal role in the establishment of the University of Virginia in 1819. He was the university's founder and primary visionary, designing its curriculum and structure. The University of Virginia became a model for public higher education in the United States, promoting a broad liberal arts of education that emphasized reason, critical thinking, and the pursuit of knowledge. However, Jefferson was not practicing educational psychology in the modern sense. Jefferson's vision for the university was centered around the ideal of creating an environment where students could learn to think critically, reason independently, and engage in intellectual inquiry. He advocated for education that was grounded in scientific knowledge, rationality, and public services. He was also an advocate for secular education, believing that higher education should be free from religious influence. While Jefferson didn't develop a theory of education the same way that educational psychologists or philosophers like John Dewey did, his ideas on education were foundational in the early formation of educational thought in America. Some key aspects of his educational philosophy include Jefferson believed that education was essential to the function of a democratic society. He argued that an educated citizenry was crucial for the protection of liberty and the preservation of democratic values. He famously said, if a nation expects to be ignorant and free, it expects what never was and never will be. Jefferson advocated for a system of public education that would provide an education to children of all social classes. Although his vision was not fully realized during his lifetime and it did not extend to African Americans or women at the time. Jefferson emphasized the study of practical subjects such as science, history, and mathematics, but he also supported the study of classical literature, philosophy, and the arts. His educational philosophy was not focused on psychological theories of learning, but rather on creating a well rounded, civic minded individual. Jefferson's most significant contribution to education was his vision for public education and his founding of the University of Virginia. His ideas on education and democratic ideas helped shape early American educational policy and continue to influence educational systems today. Jefferson's proposal for a universal public education system was groundbreaking for its time. He proposed that the government should fund schools that would be accessible to all citizens, ensuring that education was not limited by social class. Though his ideas were not fully realized during his lifetime, they laid the groundwork for future public education policies in the United States. As the founder of the University of Virginia, Jefferson created one of the first universities in the United States to offer a broad secular curriculum. It was one of the first institutions to embrace the ideas of higher education as a tool for public service and democratic engagement rather than simply for religious or vocational training. While Thomas Jefferson was not directly influenced by the field of educational psychology as we understand it today, there were several pioneers in education theory and related fields who shaped his education ideals in the broader intellectual environment in which he lived. Jefferson's thoughts on education were informed by his philosophical beliefs, the scientific revolution, and the Enlightenment thinkers of his time, many of whom laid the groundwork for educational psychology. Here's an overview of some of these key figures. John Locke. John Locke was a key figure in empiricism in educational philosophy, and his ideas on the mind and learning had a profound impact on Enlightenment thinkers like Jefferson. Locke's views of the mind as a tabula rasa, which is a blank state, meant that humans are shaped by their experience and environment, and education plays a crucial role in shaping individuals. This concept is central to later developments in educational psychology, especially in how environment and experience influence learning. Jean Jacques Rousseau ideas on education were also influenced during the Enlightenment and had a profound impact on key educational thinkers in America, including Jefferson. Raju educational philosophy, particularly his work, Emil, emphasized the natural development of the child and the importance of education that was aligned with a child's developmental stage. And Johann Heinrich Pestalozzi was an education in Europe whose ideas about teaching and learning influenced many education worldwide, including some of Jefferson's contemporaries. Pestalozzi emphasized the importance of child-centered education and the role of sensory experience in learning, ideas that would later be important in the development of education psychology. Jefferson late life to death. Jefferson passed away on July 4th, 1826, at the age of 83, exactly 50 years after signing of the Declaration of Independence, a document he had authored. His death on this significant anniversary is often noted as symbolic of his profound role in American history. Jefferson's death marked the end of era, but his legacy lived in multiple ways. He was remembered as a founding father, the author of the Declaration of Independence, and a proponent of liberty and democracy. His influence on the development of American education, particularly through the University of Virginia, continued to shape the nation's institutions. However, his legacy is also complicated by his ownership of enslaved people and his views on race, which have been subjects to criticism in modern times.